This guy at 93 years old has more energy than most of us do at a younger age. Out of control. Some people just have those genetics. I think Shatner and Trump are some of those people. And he's out doing a full circuit of conventions this year, which is amazing. I can't believe he's doing that just by itself. I think I'm going to go. There's one in San Jose in August. If you guys are in California or the Bay Area and want to hang out, I think I'm going to go to that one because I want to see the man, Shatner, Captain Kirk. This guy is awesome. And so I'd like to see him and see what he's got to say these days. But he hints at a possible return of Captain Kirk in Star Trek, which is also awesome, though I'm skeptical. I don't really see it happening at 93 years old, and I also don't see any real way they can write themselves out of the jam. It doesn't quite work, and they've tried it before in the novels. I'm a big Star Trek novel fan. I'll get into all this and how it all is transpiring in just a moment. Will Captain Kirk return? Hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here as we talk about all things in science fiction, including Star Trek. If you like Star Trek, you will enjoy my Arroz War trilogy right here. I was just watching the episode where Deanna Troi got picked up and converted into a Romulan the other day, and this was kind of the inspiration for the series here. Our hero, Sean Barrows, actually went and embedded himself as an Arrozian on a starship there when there was a war going on, and he gets personally entangled in a way that just opens up this world really, really cool. It's a lot of fun, tons of action. A big war blows up over 3 books in a trilogy. It's in the description below. Get it on ebook, print, and audio. Support our channel. Support our great science fiction today. Really appreciate you guys who read. Been amazing few months here. So William Shatner is one of the most active and busy 93-year-olds in fandom, doing more convention appearances than many actors half his age. At the Vancouver Fan Expo, he hinted he might return to Star Trek one last time. Now, if you don't know the whole spoilerific history here, Captain Kirk infamously died in 1994's Star Trek Generations film, which I actually liked that movie. I know a lot of people hate on it quite a bit, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good start for the Next Generation film. I actually liked the whole scenes between Picard and Kirk and thought it was pretty cool. Now, what bothered people about it was that Kirk's death felt a little anticlimactic. Even though he saved billions of people on a world, you didn't see that scope. He was on a bridge and just kind of there with Picard, and he looked kind of weak, and it just didn't feel good as a send-off for Captain Kirk. Even though it did pretty well, and of course they were happy that they won together. And his famous last words, "It was fun." It was just kind of something that left a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths because, Captain Kirk dying is just a legend dying. It doesn't feel good. There's no way to do that, really. Now, in a recent fan film, Unification, they did a digitally enhanced version of Kirk traveling in the afterlife to find his friend Spock in a touching experience that left fans clamoring for Star Trek more than anything Paramount has offered in the Kurtzman era. I mean, the Kurtzman era has been a complete disaster. Everybody's hated it. Section 31's a bomb. Even like the leftist media cannot cover for it at this point because it was such a terrible, destructive thing. And I think Starfleet Academy is going to be very, very similar. This is the next offering in the Kurtzman era. Now, the Kurtzman contract is actually up August 1, and they're going to be looking at it, whether they're going to renew or not. Hopefully, they just get rid of this whole era, sweep it aside, this identity politics nonsense. That is, on the wrong side of history, my friends, can all go away, and we can get back to exploring strange new worlds instead of exploring strange new genders. That is what I'm hoping out of Star Trek. We'll see what happens. Now, Shatner actually went to this fan expo, and he said, "I've been asked to come back as Kirk so many times." And this actually includes the J.J. Abrams era. They actually had him in the original drafts of those films, coming back and making a cameo appearance, much like Spock. It was going to be a weird thing. I don't know how it would exactly work with the Generations sort of setup, but they did actually have that plan in the movies. They scrapped it early on, and it seems like ever since then they've really, I don't know if there was a fight between Shatner and the people involved there, but they seem to try to erase Shatner and Kirk from history as much as possible. If you look at a lot of their promotions, Kirk is really sidelined. They don't put him front and center when he's really the whole star of the freaking show. There is no Star Trek without Captain Kirk. He's the most popular character out of any. It's really, really weird. And I actually, in the Strange New Worlds where they have somebody else playing him, it doesn't feel right. You got this beta male type of guy playing him. It does not feel correct. It's like they hate the masculinity of Shatner, and I do think they do hate the masculinity of Shatner. So he says if Kirk is going to come back, it has to mean something. It has to be the show. But I was so impressed by this writer, so I said, let's talk after I'm done in Vancouver. I'm awaiting a pitch to make it the show. It should come on Monday or Tuesday. Well, today is Monday, so we might be hearing back on this soon. We don't know whether Shatner's going to like it or not, and then we don't know whether a network's going to like it or not. Honestly, if Paramount wants money, they should just say yes to whatever Shatner wants if he's down to do it. But it'd be very difficult for me to see this working. I mean, you've got a pretty aged Shatner at this point. We're now 30 years after Generations. That's pretty crazy just by itself. And so just like, how would that aging work? Why would he come back this old? It's kind of an odd thing. I'm sure they can write their way around it, but it's not going to feel natural. There's no way to make it feel natural. And that's actually been done before. So I am a big fan of all the Star Trek novels, believe it or not. And I read these back in the day because, of course, it said it was written by William Shatner. As a kid, when I'm like, oh, cool, William Shatner wrote a Star Trek book. This is cool. And it says legends never die. The Return. Yes. I was all in on this as a kid. But, as an adult, it doesn't quite hold up so well. It really reads like fan fiction. And, of course, I know how these things work now, that these celebrities, even though Shatner has had some books credited to him in the past, kind of like throw some ideas around maybe, and then on the other front, the actual ghostwriter does things, who's Michael Jan Friedman in this situation. So this book had Shatner just like the Romulans like dug up his body and made an alliance with the Borg to give technology to bring him back. It was really, really weird, and it didn't quite work. Now, over the subsequent books, they actually tied in a lot of episodes. It was super fan fiction-y. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed it. It was fun. I liked it, but it does not really hold up as something that like works for Star Trek. So I hope they can come up with something better than that 30 years later. As a science fiction writer myself, I just don't see it, just because like his on-screen death was so pronounced and he's so much older now. It's like, what are you going to do on that front? He can't be an action star at this point for sure. So what do you do with this? And I don't want him trotted around in space like they did with Picard, with all these young women who are lesbians in space lecturing him on what to do. I mean, that was a train wreck for Picard until the third season, of course. But definitely, I mean, if it does something like that, it would destroy the legacy. Now, I don't think Shatner would allow that, like Patrick Stewart would, because Shatner is so protective of his brand and the like, and he knows what his fans like, and he cares about the fans. He really does. He's one of those people who like is out there, and that's why he's at conventions at 93. There's no reason for him to do that otherwise. But interesting stuff to speculate on regardless at this front. Now, it's not the first time that Shatner's talked about this before. He actually did an interview with Metro UK 5 years ago, and interestingly enough, he says that this is a series that they're pitching, but 5 years ago, he says, I wouldn't do a series. If the role was written properly and it wasn't a cameo or gratuitous, being there just to show my face, I wouldn't do that, he said before, and that's exactly what they were trying to do with the Abrams Trek, and I think he just felt a little slighted on that front when he was going with that on that deal. So we'll see what comes out of this. I'll be reporting it as soon as there's information on it. If there is any information on it, if Shatner decides to go forward with it, you will be the first to hear it here. We appreciate you for being here. I'm looking forward to changes in Trek. I hope it actually comes back and they do things right soon. Leave a comment down below. Would you like to see William Shatner actually come back for the role or not? Let me know. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out my Stars Entwined. You're going to love this series if you like Star Trek, guys. Grab it, ebook, print, and audio in the description below. Thank you so much for being here.